Well, one thing's for sure, two things for certain. The future of West Virginia athletics looks a lot brighter now than it did just a year or two ago. Let's talk about all the ways and times that West Virginia has improved thanks to Ren Baker, Ross Hodge, and Rich Rodriguez. We'll talk about it next. Stick around.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what is up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul, and I am your host around here. Welcome back in the Locked On West Virginia, baby, where we're talking Mountaineer sports today. We're going to talk a little football and basketball, both in kind of an interesting way. So stick around for that, because this one's going to be brought to you by our friends, and we love our friends at FanDuel. And right now, a FanDuel $5 is going to make you come holla. That's if you only win that first $5 bet. If you play, you can't win if you don't play, and you can get $200 in bonus bets if you do so. And thanks for making us your first listen here, for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We're talking about your team, the Mountaineers, every single day. Of course, I'm not alone, and I just had him on to finish off a show not even 20, 30 minutes ago. Thought it'd be cool to have him on for this as well. So to have him on here is an honor, as always. Brings a great perspective to West Virginia sports, and he's a good friend. So welcoming on now Troy from Mountaineer Moment.
What's up, brother? Let's do it. Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get into this, man. So, what's going on in Minnesota right now? I'm just kidding. With West Virginia sports right now, obviously coming off today's loss, it definitely puts a damper on this conversation. I won't lie about it, but it doesn't change how I feel. And so I want to kind of go through this piece by piece and try to get your thoughts on the entire ecosystem, if you will. So obviously, if you look at the chaos that West Virginia sports has been under over the last couple of years, 2 head coaches in 2 years sounds untenable, much less 4 in basketball, right? But now, and the same thing in football, you had 6 years of mediocrity, 1 year of promise followed by just a falling flat on your face, to the point to where you're literally not talked about in any relevant manner anymore in football. I mean, that is the fact about West Virginia football right now.
Yeah.
So you've got 2 head coaches in the same year now that will probably be back unless something crazy happens next year. Football has continuity entering year 2 under Rich Rodriguez. Basketball finally will have a second consecutive year with the same coach, we think, in Ross Hodge. And so my question is the short-term chaos finally over, right? Because it doesn't feel short-term. I mean, it feels like it's been multiple years now. Yeah. But, since Bob Huggins was fired and the Neil Brown situation and how we were waiting on that situation to play out, it feels like these programs are finally in a good place and to be able to move forward. I'm curious what your thoughts are.
I 100% agree. I think stability is the word of the day. It's the word of the current situation, and we haven't experienced that, as you noted, in either of these basketball and football programs in quite some time. And so it's nice, right? And stability doesn't even indicate necessarily like wins or, what this future of both these programs is going to look like in 5 years from now, but stability as far as the coaching staff, stability as far as some continuity we're going to hope from 1 year to the next, in these programs as the years progress. And it's nice because, and not to bring flashbacks or sad news to a happy place and a safe place, which is where we're at right now. But last year in basketball, we had some fake stability. We were thinking we were trending toward something stable, and then we got punched in the mouth.
Hansberry will be back and
right.
all that. Yeah, which he's been elite this year, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, the future was looking bright, and all of a sudden it's, let's do it all over again, and that hurt, right? That was a gut punch. But now Ross Hodge is here, and I think you'd be, again, we're coming off a loss where it's like but you'd be hard pressed to find something wrong with what it's looked like so far this year, given the cards he was dealt. So
look at it from a 30,000 foot view. That's my question. That's my appeal to you if you're feeling down on today's loss. Absolutely, you should feel that way. Yeah. Does the offense need to get better going forward? Absolutely, it does. Do I think it's a Jimmy's and Joe's more than I do X's and O's? Yeah, I do. I do think X's and O's are the issue, but like I said, West Virginia chooses to be elite at defense, and then they try to be efficient on offense. And in one offseason where you had to replace your entire team, that's just not something that's you can't have both in one year, I think. Unless you're, elite in the portal. Maybe West Virginia could have been a little better offensive team had they had another $1 million or something lying around, but they didn't. So you look at this and you're like, okay, so what does we'll look at basketball first. I think it's a great first place to look, right? Because you're looking at what is coming in next year, what could come in. We touched on this a little earlier. Obviously, first of all, you go from Huggins to Eilert to DeVries, and now you're with Ross Hodge. That's crazy, right? The fact that that's happened, I would imagine that's probably not happened many places in the Power Four, maybe ever. I'm not. I don't know if it's. I mean, I'm sure there have been somewhere before that's had 4 coaches in 4 years, but
there's not a ton of that. Yeah,
and it can't have happened many times.
Yeah.
So it's a rarity, but when you look in, what's coming under year 2 under Ross Hodge, as long as you can keep things together like you are, you've got, number one, you've got the full first year of the Big 12 learning curve behind Ross Hodge. You've got elite recruiting momentum with a 5-star guard of Miles Sadler, who, by the way, like I said earlier, just had 14 steals in a game and a triple-double where he had 20-something points, 12 assists, and 14 steals. Or it was either 14 assists and 12 steals or 12 assists and 14 steals, whichever, along with his teammate Aliou Dioum, who is obviously a very good 4-star player as well. And then Paul Usamori, who is a top 10 player in the country, is very high on West Virginia as well. Another of their teammates, that Yusuf Ali, continuing to try to farm for West Virginia. And Yusuf Ali is probably the biggest addition nobody talks about in Morgantown.
Yeah.
And so when you look at it from that perspective, like, even if you don't get a guy like Paul Usamori, you get Sadler, you get Dioum, and then you have a really good portal class, a solid one, another one maybe like this year or a little better. If you added Miles Sadler to the Amir Jenkins spot this year, let's say, how much better would this team be? Mm-hmm. Genuinely. Because I think Amir Jenkins is a good defender. He's sound with the basketball. You can trust him not to really turn it over, but that's really where it stops for him right now. Sadler is an elite defender. He would change games on defense for you. Several people think he's the best on-ball defender in the nation. So there's that. And he's a capable to elite scorer in high school. So, he could probably come in. He'd probably be averaging double figures right now. Right. So just trying to make a little comparison. Like, if you had one more guy that was averaging double figures, even off the bench, which I don't think Sadler will be, it could change the complexion of a year. Right. So, and Sadler's a guy you can build around, obviously, along with Dioum, who would be just an incredible presence inside. He would probably be right up Brendan Lawrence's butt for minutes next year if he was here. So, what are your thoughts about that class coming in and the impact it could have just on the basketball side? Before even getting to football.
Yeah, no, there's great reason for optimism. And I think one of the key points that you mentioned is the fact that, by this point next year, when we're in the thick of things in Big 12 play, Ross Hodge will have a year of experience under his belt. And that's going to be huge just for him.
He's coaching against Titans right now.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
He just went up against Scott Drew head to head.
There's a little shell shock factor. I don't, if he wants to hide from it or run from it or what. But
nobody wants to cut him when he's slack, do they?
Yeah.
Nobody's cutting Ross slack.
They're not. And there's an adjustment there. You throw Kingston in that mix too. With the recruiting class, and there's
I
reason
should
for
have. You're
optimism.
right. That's my fault.
No, but I mean, that's a big one too. And I just think with football, I mean, it's the same exact thing that Rodriguez went through in year one with just you come here to a new environment and you're scrambling to go get players. And, with Ali, you mentioned huge underrated piece of this whole picture that's really, got you excited about the future. But again, stability is the word. Like there's going, and we don't know what the transfer portal class is going to look like for this basketball team, but there's obviously great reason to hope that it's going to be good. And again, if not better than what we're experiencing right now this year. Yeah, dude, I'm excited. I think Sadler's going to be incredible and a fan favorite already before he even steps foot on campus. So let's go.
Yeah. And here's the thing too. Another thing that people aren't considering is, hold on, I'll show you. I don't know if anybody's seen this yet. I'm going to try to add it in real time before we go to break. West Virginia has 2 basketball players that are, hold on, I'll just show you the screenshot because it's so impressive. It's like of all the things that you can say about what Ross Hodge has done this year, this is one of the most impressive. Let me see if I can add it in right here. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. So these 2 guys right here, Miles Sadler and Kingston Whitty, McDonald's All-American nominees. 2 West Virginia players, McDonald's All-American. So I should have mentioned Kingston Whitty already. Kingston Whitty, I totally, and it's my fault, 100% my fault, for not bringing him up more often when talking about West Virginia's incoming class. It's totally on me. I get so caught up in the Aliou Dioum, Miles Sadler part of it that Whitty kind of gets a little bit, overlooked. And that's crazy because, I just looked. He had 17 points, 3 rebounds, 2 steals, and assists, and 5 threes in a game the other day. So, he's obviously one of those guys, right? He's the truth. He's an explosive, really explosive. He can take over the game, get anywhere he wants to in the court. I think he'll be an instant impact guy too. Yeah. I totally don't mean to forget about him. So I really like Whitty a lot. He's another one that I really want to keep. Great ball handler too. So yeah, big time pickups for West Virginia basketball. You add Paul Usamori to that list though, and it's like you're potentially got the number 1 class. Like maybe not number 1. That's maybe a little too rich, but you've got a top 5 or top 8 class, right? If you can get him. And I don't know what it would take. And I don't know how much it would cost. And I don't know if it's worth it to be so young because of how the portal is and keeping players. But, if you could keep them all, oh, yeah, I'd do it in a heartbeat. I'd say, you know what, take your loans for a year. But, I don't know if you can keep them. That's the thing. So it's really exciting to talk about, isn't it? To think about the potential of – because I don't even know. I showed these people video of Usamori the other day, the listeners. Man, what an insane talent.
Yeah. Well, and you think about that coupled with the fact of what we've already talked about, this is year number or, head coach number 4 in 4 years. And so we mentioned earlier, how many programs have done that? Well, how many programs have recruited at the level West Virginia's recruiting at with a 4th head coach in as many years? This is
absolutely, dude.
This got to be unprecedented too.
Yeah. And for those that don't know who he is, he's a 5-star center that is 6'10" and can bang his chin off the rim. He is an elite athlete. He's the number 3 junior in the country, according to ESPN, and is only in 10th grade. If he comes in next year, I talked to him. He said he would have to reclassify, and he said Sadler and Dioum are trying to get him to. He told me this to my face, So it's interesting times in Morgantown right now in basketball. There's a lot to be excited about. Don't be too. And Ren Baker obviously deserves a ton of credit for getting us stabilized, because we'll go to break really quick and talk about this next and talk some football too, Troy. But Ren Baker has been able to do something a lot of places can't do. We'll talk about what that is next.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kalia Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. The WNBA has released its 2026 schedule, featuring a 44-game regular season beginning on Friday, May 8th. The league's historic 30th season includes expansion teams Portland Fire and the Toronto Tempo, with opening weekend highlights such as Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever hosting Paige Beckers and the Dallas Wings, and a rematch of the 2025 finals between the Aces and the Mercury. In college hoops, South Carolina handed Vanderbilt its first loss of the season with a dominant 103-74 win. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, and coming back for more every time. Mazda puts the same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment. Putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
I want to play for the Tempo because I think the Tempo is going to be the best team in the nation. The Tempo's the best team in the nation. I grew up with a kid who was from obviously from Mingo County, West Virginia, where I'm from. And you got to think my accent's changed a lot over the years. Like it went from the deep country West Virginia accent to kind of a more neutral sounding. I mean, I've still got a twang, but not compared to a lot of people, right? My dad would say, "Hey, pal." Like that's how he said my name. Oh. "Hey, pal, get over here, boy." He'd say, he called me Root my whole life. He'd say, "Come here, Root. Get over here, Root. Hey, Root, get over here. Let me talk to you, Root." And one time I was 18. I said, "Dad, why do you call me Root?" He said, "Because you're dumber than a tree root, son."
There you go. There you have it.
Yeah. He only had 4 fingers on this hand. One was missing because he got gangrene from an electrical accident.
That's right.
And he could flip his thumb really hard like this. Like he could just move it enough to get it and pow, flip it down like this. And when you wasn't paying attention, he would come in right on the top of your head, pow, get you with that thing. Or if he really liked you, he would use his mechanical prosthetic arm that could bust a pop can. And he would shake your hand whenever my friends, and he would have them on their knees like, ah. So, yeah, good times. Miss my dad. And I always bring up stories about my dad. So,
love it.
Sold Jeremy. Did you see how good the 5-star named Paul played a few days ago? He had a 360 dunk. I think that's what he said. I'm not exactly sure. Oh, around 30 and a nice dunk. Yeah, I keep up with them pretty well. Thanks for commenting. Okay, so Ren Baker has done something that, let's just be honest, a lot of athletic directors haven't been able to do. I would say probably around a third of the athletic directors. And it is segment 2 where I've got a crack a do to you, Troy. Tell everybody where they can find you first.
Yeah, man. So over on Mountaineer Moment on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, we've been doing it over there for about 5 months and 139 episodes in. So we're cranking them out. Would love for you to join the Mountaineer Moment movement over there.
The Mountaineer Moment movement. It's a movement of moments, singular moments, one after the other. You're in one moment with Troy, and then boom, 8:35 just hit. You're in the next moment, and then you'll be in another Mountaineer moment after that at 8:36, and before you know it, you've had the experience of Mountaineer minutes combined into the name Mountaineer Moment, and that's how Mel Gibson came up with the Passion of the Christ.
That's right. Clip that right there. That's the promo right there, man.
I'm in a random mood today.
I'll say real quick, man, I appreciate you, and you've been so good to me, and just appreciate who you are, your heart, and your passion for West Virginia athletics, and let me jump in and join you from time to time. I appreciate you. So thank you. No
problem, man. We've still got another show that's on hold right now. Hopefully we can revive that soon. Yes, but I chose you to help me do that for a reason, so appreciate you for coming on, man.
Yep.
All right. So I've teased it enough. It's not like it's some big breaking news necessarily, but Ren Baker has done something that I think he doesn't get a lot of credit for, right? Because in this day and age, what do you have to have? You have to have alignment. You have to have the board of governors. You have to have the president. You have to have the athletic director. If you've got regents or whoever, whatever it is, boat and donors, celebrities in a lot of cases, big name folks. And a lot of times the AD is the quarterback. He's got to play go between, and his staff, Matt Wells and guys like that on staff working with him as well, have to figure out a way to make it all work. And not easy to do. Ren Baker has done that at West Virginia, and they even came out publicly stating, hey, we're going to be in that top funding tier of the Big 12. That's the goal, right? So don't know if we hit that this year because everybody upped their game a lot. But I do think West Virginia made a concerted effort, right? I mean, you were able to sign 30 guys. The majority of those, were Power 4. So I don't want to hear it. Had we only needed 12 or 15, we would have signed 12 or 15 very good to elite players. Unfortunately, we had a lot of players leave. But either way, Ren Baker has been able to quarterback a situation to where he's got alignment between all three, and it's something that he doesn't get enough credit for and deserves credit for, Troy.
Yeah. I mean, can I say that he's the primary, if we can attribute it to one person, he's the reason we're on here talking about the future of West Virginia looking bright because of what Ren Baker's been able to do?
Yeah, I mean, and look, here's the thing. It could go the other direction. He's going to bear the brunt of the negative part of this if it goes that route as well.
Yeah.
Like his tenure is hung on to
success,
Rich Rodriguez and Ross Hodge. So that's why there's been a couple times where I've been I thought he might leave because it's to that point where you kind of made a mistake giving Neil Brown the extension. I think we can all admit that was a mistake from Ren. But I don't think many people blamed him too much, but there are some that hold it against him. They say, look, it was pretty obvious Neil Brown wasn't a great coach then, and that was a bad extension to give him. And the extra year he got was terrible because we could have got Signetti and all these different things.
Yeah.
That people will bring up someday. So you do need Ross Hodge and Rich Rodriguez to work out. If one works out really well, you're probably okay. I don't know that you could go through another football search. That's a tough one. If Rich Rod doesn't work out, I don't know if Ren will. Obviously, if he works out, then basketball could fall apart and it'd probably be okay because it's football. But I do think that, I think we're going to be okay with both, even Ross. My confidence isn't necessarily shaken on Ross. I just think now it's pretty obvious that to supplement for the lack of X's and O's he has on offense, whether that's on purpose or what, he's just going to have to recruit good players that can score, right, in isolation situations and things. And you can't expect him to do that one off season, like I said. For Rich Rod's time, let's go to break really quick and we'll dive into this. Let's talk some football right after the break, man. I wanted to get your thoughts on the portal anyway. And there's a lot of guys we brought in. I showed you a couple when we were off air, but there's a lot to be excited about going forward. And we're talking about our friends at FanDuel here for a reason, guys. And right now with FanDuel, I always say it, $5 is going to make you come holla, Troy. And when it comes to FanDuel, it's like this, man. It's the last call for football, not alcohol, on FanDuel. One final Sunday, one final kickoff, the final chance to get on the action before the NFL season officially comes to a close. Super Bowl 60 and FanDuel is making sure you're right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. Whether you're backing your favorite, riding with the underdog, or building the last same game parlay, this is the game for everyone and the one everyone's been waiting for. And it's where predictions turn into plays, stats turn into storylines, and every snap feels even bigger. It's the perfect way to cap off the season and make the Super Bowl even more exciting from the kickoff to the final whistle. If you're a new customer, just bet $5. It'll make you come holla, and you'll get $200 in bonus bets. That's if you win that first $5 bet, but you can't win if you don't play, so let's make it count. Because after the Super Bowl, guys, the season is over. So it's the last call for football on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. You too can visit FanDuel.com and get started. Back with the legendary Troy Van Bockenstein. I don't know. Troy, appreciate you for coming on, man.
Of course.
I almost said your full name, and I thought, well, he may not want that out there.
No.
At the end of the day, I think Rich Rod is going to be successful. I know it seems like it may not happen. It's definitely not going to happen in the timeline that I hoped by year 2. Like, I don't think we're winning the Big 12 championship this year. There's a couple reasons for that. We could be very good and get to 8, 9, maybe 10. If we get to 10, that'll be really close. But I don't think I think we'll have closer to a Houston year where we're just a couple games out and the top of the conference is just too good.
Yeah.
I think for us to contend in year 2, my personal opinion, that could change over the summer because we have no returning talent on defense, literally none, outside of the defensive line. So that means you've got brand new corners, brand new safeties, and brand new linebackers, except for 1 or 2 guys. That's not great. Offense is like you got potentially 5 new starters on the O line. Cray and Livingston don't have to be the guys that come back. I mean, they could be beat out, right?
Very
so,
true.
Looking at this portal haul, obviously you addressed some key areas that West Virginia needed. I'm not even going to lead you in. I just want you to dive into what you think of this portal and recruiting haul, because obviously the recruiting haul is ranked top 25 by everybody.
Right.
The portal haul it varies where you look.
Right. Yeah. I would say I'll start on the offensive end. I think the attractive get obviously is Cam Cook at the running back position, and then Mikey Hawkins at quarterback. I did an episode shortly after we got him over on Mountaineer Moment. I know you said you just had on the color guy for
I
the
did.
Sooners, right? Who obviously spoke very highly of Hawkins.
He did.
But I have a good friend who's an Oklahoma fan, big time fan, and knows the ins and outs of that program, and talked very highly of Hawkins as well. So I think I'm most excited to see the push that he makes to start at quarterback, because I do think it's going to be an absolute battle. And obviously with his legs, he fits the Rich Rod mold to a T. So we'll see how that shakes out as we inch closer toward the season and as the season progresses too. So he's the one that I have my eye on the most. And then, sticking on the offensive side of things too, with this, offensive line, that was the biggest need that you needed to address. I think Wes King is a big get from Wyoming, and then Devin Vass from K-State. I know you've spoken highly of him when we talked about Vass and what he brings to the table. So to me, again, I think that offensively, that was the biggest need. We knew that coming into last season. That was the biggest question mark, and it sure showed to be the biggest concern, because the offensive line impacts everything else. And it impacted the running game tremendously in the passing game. So Cam Cook's the nation's leading runner. You got to still have some holes for him to run through. And so hopefully that need, was addressed to, the proper standard that it needed to be, if we can say it like that. Again, real quick, the receivers, that you get Prince and you get the kid from LSU, 2 major programs, and the fact that they're coming over to Morgantown. Defense, I'll give you one name that I think may be flying under the radar. I don't know. You obviously know a little bit more about kind of what's being said about this guy, but Kamari Wilson, the transfer from Memphis, the safety, I think he's a really good get. Tons of experience. He's a journeyman in college football, coming from Florida to Arizona State, and then Memphis.
Correct.
Really big get. I think he's going to be a difference maker, and will need to be.
It depends on where they play him. He's got a chance to be a Fred Perry type difference maker if they play him in the right spots.
That's what I thought too.
He is not an elite cover guy. That's the thing I've learned on tape about him. I thought he was going to be better. And look, I'm basing it off one game, but man, he got burnt to a crisp in the one game that I saw. I think it was, I can't remember I'll tell you who it is now. It's, he played at Memphis last year. So, it was because Arkansas. That's right. The Arkansas, they had a really explosive offense. And he got burnt pretty bad in that game a couple of times. They had him playing deep safety. Not saying he can't be great. He's obviously very good at run defense, help defense, like that kind of thing. Like he's a big hitter.
Spots.
Yeah, you got to put him in the right spot. I don't think he's the guy you're going to – that's why West Virginia is still trying for safeties, because Wilson's a guy you're going to play in strong safety or in the box safety. He's that good, and he is that good.
Yeah.
But as far as like in coverage, I have a couple questions. But that's most safeties. You don't want to get most safeties one-on-one with receivers, right? And that's just what Arkansas schemed up in the game. I've got the all 22. I can send it to you of Arkansas versus Memphis. I got a bunch of other ones too. I'll show you from the portal. I've got the Wyoming from West King. I've got I can't remember who they played. It's a good game. Wyoming versus Colorado. That's right. Wyoming versus Colorado. So I've got that one too, which shows West King against Colorado. I've got Devin Vass, Kansas State versus Utah, the all 22, which is the bird's eye view. And Devin Vass, I've said this multiple times now, probably ad nauseum to people, but Devin Vass absolutely whipped Utah. So it's exciting to see him. But like as far as I go on the portal parts of this, like high school wise, obviously Kevin Brown's going to factor in. There's no doubt about that. I don't think, West Virginia paid him as much as some of their transfers. Not their higher end offensive line transfers, but 6 figures, pretty sure. So, that's a lot for a high school guy. And I would imagine he's going to be right there in the mix as a starter. And I mean, he was told he could come in and be that. So I won't be surprised at all if he ends up as a starter. Also wouldn't be surprised if he ends up maybe getting his feet wet and playing a couple of games first. But yeah, the offensive line is obviously the number one thing they address, Troy.
Yeah.
I would say that, portal,
it was the biggest need.
Yeah, absolutely was the biggest need. But if you look at the other needs that they went and addressed, like I said earlier, I think sneakily, and like as a lot of people have questions about the front 7 specifically. And I think there is a world where you can be pretty good there, especially if you get Malachi Hood because he's an athlete from Illinois. He can really run. There's my cat. Obviously Aiden Woods is another guy I really like a lot. If he can just get a little bigger, he can really run and he's athletic enough. I like him. And then on the defensive line, your returnees are good, obviously. And if you look at starting with probably Nate Gabriel, who's been really good since he's a freshman, he's played a lot of ball, and Corey McIntyre, who finally got to play last year, after 2 years of being hurt. And then you add in, like we were talking a little earlier, Troy, about Toby Hostrip, the Oregon edge. What did you think about what you saw from him?
Oh my goodness, he's a freak. I think you said it best. He's what we expected Jamori Robinson to be. That's
very similar.
Yeah, the potential. Except the ceiling is incredible for him.
Yes, correct. Very, very. If he ends up being what he can be,
right,
then you're talking about a 10 sack guy, like a David Bailey type player.
Right. All Big 12 level.
All Big 12. Yeah. Ezekiel Durham Campbell, the other edge, is another one that, he looks eerily similar to Toby Hostrip. And when you watch him pass rush, like they're the same size, they're both athletic. It's just that Toby Hostrip's he's done it. Like when you watch his tape, like against Oregon, like he did that against the Oregon first team offensive tackle, Isaiah Worlds, 6'7", 330-pound tackle that he beat abused him in practice on a couple plays that I have.
Which of these? Because I know both the names, and I just know very little. I've heard probably a little bit more about Patterson, but both the UNLV guys, Patterson and Caldwell, who's the better guy there? Like, what's the guy that's looking to make the more impact? Is it
Patterson didn't start, right? So that's the big thing on Patterson. He wasn't a starter at UNLV. He came on. He had a big year for his age as a sophomore, I think, or maybe he was a freshman. He's either a freshman or a sophomore. So like he was about to and he didn't. I mean, he had 30 or 40 tackles. So it's not like he didn't do anything.
Yeah.
But like he was their third linebacker. So I think he's got the size, athleticism, everything you want to step into a bigger role. But man, jumping from UNLV to West Virginia could be a lot to ask of him in year one.
Yeah.
So I would probably lean. It's tough, man, because they're both going to be good.
Yeah.
But I would probably lean. I don't know, man. I like them both. I really do. Like, I'm not trying to be really dramatic, but
Yeah, Patterson,
If you
it was
made
his
me
freshman
pick,
year.
I would pick Powdrell. What is it?
Patterson is freshman year.
It was his freshman year.
Yep.
That's even more impressive. But
Yeah.
I would say Powdrell is. I mean, he's another. If you look at him, go look at. He's got all his tape up on X. He runs a 10.4 100 meter, right? So he's extremely fast. Extremely fast. He's a little undersized. He's like 5'10". He's not the 6'2", 6'3" corner that West Virginia wants necessarily, but he's got a lot of experience. He's probably going to be one of your starters. I would say Jameer Latimer is the other guy you can be really excited about from Wisconsin and Jack State coming in.
Yeah.
Like he's been there, done that in this defense. And then the other guy, I mean, I probably definitely shouldn't leave out Malik Hawkins, who obviously came over with his brother, has no playing experience, but I asked a few guys from Oklahoma about him, and he is 1,000% capable of playing this year. They all say. So we'll see with him. He can end up being a starter as a young guy or playing a lot early and working his way in. So there's definitely a lot to like there. There's something to work with. And by the way, Jacob Bradford will be your starting safety at one of the spots from LSU. Like he's big time. It's just he doesn't have a lot of experience. So liking him a lot. Obviously Stolsky coming from Florida Atlantic is good. Patterson's good. Hood is a super athlete. I've got all 22 of him. Hall wasn't a starter at Villanova, by the way, either. He's very similar to Patterson. Young had some production. LeBlanc from UT Permian Basin is a guy that is 6'4", 300 pounds, and is a stud at the level he was at. Now, moving up, it's going to be tough. Don't count out Afogo and Holloman as well as two other edge guys that West Virginia brought in that I think can be good. So, there's a lot on the portal side of things.
Yeah.
Before we button this one up, I'll go to the recruiting side and just say, obviously, by the way, portal-wise, offensively, you mentioned Hawkins, and all that, and you mentioned Cook. I will say DJ Epps is from Troy, is a very good player that I wouldn't overlook that West Virginia brought in. He was very productive for them. He's very similar to the kind of players that Rich Rod has had in the past, that jitterbug type guy, and he's 6'1". He's not the 5'8", 5'9" kind. He's a bigger one.
What about Hutchins?
Oh yeah, the JUCO guys.
Yeah, Hutchins 6'2". With
they're both 6'2", 6. Yeah, well, there's two of them. There's two of them from the same college. So you talking about Keon Hutchins from Northwest Mississippi Community College?
Yep.
Yeah, he's obviously one of the fastest guys we're going to have in.
Yeah.
Obviously Kedrick Triplett, they're both top 7, right? Keon Hutchins was either Triplett or Hutchins was the number one JUCO wideout. I keep forgetting which one was which, but they were both in the top 7. One was ranked 7th.
Yeah.
It might have been Hutchins.
I know we're probably about to go wrap this thing up, but like if you could answer, because to me, like coming into last season, I was excited about the wide receiver room. And I have the same feelings this year. Obviously last year there was injuries, Jaden Bray and like that kind of thing. And there were just guys that didn't live up to what you thought it was going to look like. That could just be due to the fact that the offensive line, they didn't have any time to throw it to them. But like, how can we be, because obviously easy to say the wide receiver room was simply not firing on all cylinders last season to what we thought it could look like. How do we, all these guys that we just named, how can we be confident that it's going to be firing on all cylinders where each of these guys can make an impact?
That's a great question. I think you probably can't be right away. It's going to be a work in progress. Like, I think the run game will come first.
Because I don't think this is going to be an offense that's, because last year Cam Bond was like the dude in the room.
Yeah.
This year, I don't think it's going to be designed that way.
Just depends on if somebody breaks out. But I mean, there is potential for a couple guys.
Enough where it's like, hey, that was a successful season for all 5 of these receivers, right? That's hard to say.
And that's not a bad problem to have either. But you'd like to have a dude that you can consistently go to.
Yeah, that's just what's been on my mind in that room.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if there's going to be a guy that does it, probably, Teron Francis is maybe the most capable. He just doesn't get any playing. He hasn't played yet.
Yeah.
So, but he does have an off season at LSU. Going against some of the best players in the nation.
Right.
So you think he would come into West Virginia and be able to get loose some, but we'll see. I would say that if it's not him, obviously Prince Strawn is a guy that had 500 yards, 30, 40 catches at Boise State.
Yeah.
You know, it came down to USC and Miami for him last year, and then he got hurt. So if he can be what they thought he would be, there's a guy. And then obviously Bray. And Bray's healthy and gets his eligibility, then he's probably your number one guy.
Yeah.
And that's another reason I bring up Scotty a lot as a potential starter, because the year 1 to year 2 jump potential, right? But after having those Oklahoma guys on, I don't know anymore. It sounds like I'll show you the clips. Like they said, he outperformed John Mateer all spring long. John Mateer, like we're talking about one of the best quarterbacks in the country.
Yeah.
And said that he was more impressive multiple days that they watched. So I don't know, man. The thing was they had all their money invested in Mateer, so he didn't get to play. We got to run, but thanks for coming on, man. Guys, make sure you check out Mountaineer Moment. Make sure you like, subscribe, and all that around here. And we will be back, or I will be back tomorrow right here in Locked On West Virginia, where we're talking about the Mountaineers every single day. Make sure you're checking out Locked On College Football. My guy Spencer McLaughlin does an excellent job there, as well as Locked On Ducks. And we'll see you on the next one, guys. Have a great rest of your evening. For Troy, from me, Q Country Roads.